Hello, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name's Tracy, and I'm here with my husband, Noel. He's back there doing our graphics and our cameras. Happy Friday morning, everybody. Hello, Trish. I saw Southern Charm. Mary, good morning. Memory to Market, hello. And I saw, who was it earlier? Zen's Goody shared the show. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it. So I put a note in there. Oh, it disappeared already. Read the show notes. Good morning, Kate. Thank you for sharing, Trish. Read the show notes. We have coupons. We are now in our second quarter. Finally, we are in the second quarter of the year. So on our Fridays and Saturday shows, so Friday being this talk show, and then Saturday's our big selling show, there are 3 rewards cards. So we are offering up to $8 off on those 2 days only. So that's new for the second quarter. That was always kind of in the plans. Once we got enough rewards cards out there, we would be able to start combining 3. The other shows we're still doing the normal 2 cards. But if you have those 3 cards, you can get pretty much something for free today from the bin. We do have the bin loaded up with the normal talk show type stuff that we keep in there on Fridays. We've got some cool topics. Can I talk today? To talk about today. But there is a new feature on Whatnot. I'm going to tell you about it in just a second. I'm going to wait for a few more people to get in here because this feature is really cool. They just announced it yesterday. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's pretty neat. Southern Charm, thank you for sharing the show. So before we get there, let's just talk about what's coming up. I always like to open with those kind of housekeeping things of what's happening. Tomorrow morning is my warm embrace show. So that is your neutrals, your woods, your baskets, all those warm tones. It's a type of aesthetic that kind of feels like a hug. That's how I like to describe it. That is tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Tomorrow is also the first day that I'm taking my Saturday show from 4 p.m. down to 8 p.m. I have done 4 p.m. It's been my anchor show for probably a year, if not longer now. And I'm realizing it's just, I've seen a decline on the 4 o'clock hour. So we are trying a new hour for this one. For our anchor show, we are moving down to 8 a.m. for our Saturday show. That is preloaded. And so everything's in there. If you are interested, if that is your design aesthetic, go take a look. You can put your pre-bids in. And then the other 2 big things coming up next week besides normal scheduled shows are Ledger to Leadership, which is our accounting show. We are in week 5. That is Monday night, 6:30 p.m. We do Ledger to Leadership, or we teach accounting, basic accounting for resellers. It's focused on resellers. Next week, we are talking about revenue and timing. So that's going to be a good one. How do you recognize your revenue? How does timing play into all of that? And Tuesday night, this is the big one. Tuesday night is the CEO Challenge. Hey, Monster Mama, good morning. Tuesday night is our CEO Challenge Showcase. This is our first showcase. So we have our 6 participants. We announced them last week. We have our 6 participants. We've had our meeting last week. They are working on their challenge already, and they are going to come and tell you all about their challenge. So Tuesday night is like a mini raid train. It goes from 5:30 p.m. I'll be kicking it off. I think we end around 7:30 or 8, somewhere in there. It's only like 2.5 hours. And you'll get to see 6 different participants. This is like the reality night. They're going to be talking to you. It's going to be a chat show format for this week. Every week's going to be a little bit different, but they're going to tell you, each participant is going to tell you about what metric they picked, why they're in the challenge, what they're trying to improve on their business. So you can kind of like get in at the beginning and follow them along on their journey this month. I can't wait to see it either. I mean, just talking to everybody. We do a private show once a week, myself and the 6 participants, so we can talk about the challenge and what's happening, and just answer any questions and make sure we're all on the same page. And so just talking to them, I'm getting so excited. We have a group chat going, and I've been going in and out of their shows, and it is really exciting. I cannot wait to see their growth throughout this month, because I can guarantee you there will be some growth of some sort. So it's going to be fun to watch. Now, if you want to participate in your business and you're not one of the 6, we do have a at-home version, so you can participate in the challenge too. Send me a DM with your email address. What we will give you, we'll send you back a link to a Dropbox, and every week we'll be putting the challenge in there in the Dropbox every Tuesday. That's going to be released, so you can follow along with the challenges at home and apply these to your business too. So not only do we have the 6 participants that you get to watch live going through this, but you can do it, which is kind of cool. And it's the same challenge. You just don't. It's the same challenge. It's just not the participants. So let's put it like this. Check out the participants this month because we're going to do this again next quarter. So you can see if this is interesting to you. You can try it at home. And then maybe that might be like, oh, I want to be one of the participants next time they do it. The participants that do it, the 6 people, they get private coaching. Like I said, we do like the one-on-ones each week with the 6. And they also get first access to anything I create during the month. So any PDFs, and I'll create special ones for them for each challenge as we go forward. So they get a few extra little perks as being one of the 6 and being willing to put themselves out there for everybody like they are, because they're being very transparent. So my husband's giving me the sign that I'm not in the middle of the screen. It bugs him if I'm not in the middle, so I have to scooch. All right. That's what's coming up next week. So if you want to follow along, if you want to be part of that challenge at home, just send me a DM. We'll send you a link to the Dropbox, just one link, and then you have access all month to follow along with every single week as we drop new challenges in there. Okay, are you guys ready for what's cool? You ready for what Whatnot announced yesterday? And we just stumbled upon it. It's not like we have special information. We stumbled upon it in the help. This is pretty cool. Good morning, Mary. All right, are you ready to bring that up on the screen? He's gonna try to bring it up. Whatnot has just announced that you can do screen sharing in your show. So you know how we do it. My husband does it all the time. He has all kinds of fancy equipment he uses. But you can do it right from your phone and your computer. So think about the uses of this. How cool is screen sharing on your show? Good morning, DJ. So if you are a RAID train, if you're a RAID train conductor, you can bring up your people that are on your train. If you're trying to show a video of some sort, if you want to do a funny meme and you want to make your audience laugh, if you are somebody who wants to call out, good morning, Tober, wants to call out somebody else, like you want to be like, hey, check out this seller, they're really awesome. You can actually pull up their show or pull up their profile and show it on your screen. So let's go ahead and we're going to give that a try and see how this works. And then we'll show you. On your screen is available both iPhone and Android. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's available on both, because what happens is you do your show on your phone like normal. Then you have to have a computer to actually share that screen. So we'll show you the help menu. We'll show you how you get to it. Are you ready, honey? We're waiting for you.
It's already there.
No, it's not. I don't see it. Do you guys see something on the screen? Tell me if you see something besides me. Okay, Melinda says yes. Okay, well, that's cool. I don't see it. So what are you showing? Because I can't see what you're showing. My love, what are you showing?
All right, so this is the help.whatnot.com. And what I'm trying to show you is how you can share a browser window. You can also share your entire screen. You can also share your a program that you choose.
Like Excel,
the
maybe?
Instructions are going to be, let me see if I can, I don't know if you see my mouse right here where it says going live, where it says see all 21 articles. And once you are there, you're going to scroll down to almost the very bottom, and it says share your computer screen during a show. And it'll give you all the instructions on how to do this. If you have a computer and you're running on your phone, you can do the share screen directly. There's a video right there that explains everything. You can also swap like a co-host. That's correct. Absolutely, Melinda Stankatsu. You can swap the screen to the top and have the host in the bottom. And you can show all sorts of things in your computer. So there it explains everything. So pretty cool add-on that Whatnot is bringing to the sellers. If you want to check it out, you already know where to find it. It's on the help.whatnot.com and the selling option. And I would recommend you check it out. We do it a little bit different, but this is gonna bring more options on production for your shows. So check it out. And then once you're done, all you need to do is you go back to your shows and you stop your sharing and everything goes out.
And now we're back. DJ, I can actually might say, there you go, DJ. Yeah, this is really cool. Think of the applications for this. Particularly, the first thing that came to my mind was one, chat shows, so people teaching how to do something. Crystal's Vintage Collective, when she teaches CSV files. You have to have both a phone and a computer.
Check the instructions. It is detail on what you need to do. It's very simple. It's not very convoluted. So, yeah. And DJ, if you have any questions, let me know. I can give you some pointers.
Mm-hmm. So particularly useful if you're doing any type of chat show that you want to share something with, but also chat shows aside, raid trade conductors. One of the first thoughts that came to our mind was CG Boomerang Echo. What does she do before every one of her raid trades? She has like a preview show and she holds up her iPad to show you what's for sale, right? And she flips through the pictures. So if you're a raid trade conductor, there you go. You can now just share the screen and actually show people's profiles and what items they have for sale. So many uses for this. So I think this is really going to change. The people who embrace this and use it in a smart way is going to change kind of how we're seeing whatnot to some degree. I think it's really neat. I'm really excited about that.
DJ, hit me up. Anybody that is interested and you have questions, please don't hesitate. Send me a DM.
And you know what this means? It means I can run shows when my husband's not here and still do my thing. See? I'm like all about this now. All right, you guys. It is, what day is today? April 3rd. We are 12 days from tax day. Are you ready? Who here has not filed their taxes yet? Anybody? Uh-oh, Southern Charm. It's okay. I haven't filed mine either. We're good.
She's in trouble.
My husband has been on me for weeks. He's like, are you going to do our taxes? Are you going to do our taxes? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do them. Don't worry about it. I'll get it done. I always do them. Doing it today. I've never done both. Which do you turn on first? You turn on the item that you are streaming with first.
Yeah,
so your phone first.
If your phone is your camera, that's when you're going to start with. And you start your show normal. And then after that is done, then you go into the computer, sign into Whatnot as your account, and go back into your shows, and you'll see the option there.
Southern Charm, me too. Yeah, when you get to the point of you're paying taxes consistently, you use that. Part of the reason why we wait till the end.
Miss Kate, good morning. I see you're back. That's awesome.
Yes, welcome back. Hopefully you got all of those issues worked out with Whatnot. I will usually do them a couple weeks ahead of time, so I know how much I'm going to have to pay. I usually have a good idea. I can't get it to the exact dollar, but I'm always within the ballpark with my estimate, so I always pretty much know. But I like to do it to be sure, and then again, I wait until the very last day to actually file and pay. So, all right, y'all. If you haven't done your taxes, you have 12 days. 12 days, just no pressure. 12 days to do your taxes. Good morning, wise old bag lady. House never gets fixed. Exactly that. Just like the contractor's house doesn't get fixed, or the cobbler's kids are running around barefoot. Same concept. So if you are still working on your taxes and you have questions tonight, I only have 3 more shows left. I am doing Ask a CPA, anything on taxes. That is 6:30. Is it 6:30? Yeah, 6:30 on Friday nights. So I will be on tonight. It's either 6 or 6:30. I'm pretty sure it's 6:30. Tonight and 2 more weeks. That's it. So only through April 17th. And then after that, I won't be doing Friday nights anymore. It was only a tax season thing. Good morning, hotel lobby. All right, that is all the announcements. Let's go on, and we're going to start talking about our topics today. We always do a business and then a tax topic. So before we get into the topics really quick, we are week 1. I am going to show you the book again. We are week 1 of second quarter. I don't know how that happened so fast, but here we are. I'm really excited about it because we are now talking about growth and goals is our second quarter growth and goals. If you are interested, if you're the type of person who likes to follow along in a book and likes to write things down, we do offer these in a book format or a PDF format every week. Here's week 14. We have all of our business topics we talk about, all of our tax topics we talk about, and then we have some takeaways there. So some extra questions to get you thinking more like a CEO, some reflective questions, some questions to think about how to apply those to your business. There are calendars somewhere in here. Every month comes with the calendar. You can plan out your shows and your goals for that month. And on the very back, we have checklists to kind of wrap up the quarter along with quarterly reflection questions. So these are in the bin. We have PDF or book if you are interested in something like that. So with that, let's go ahead and start. We are talking about two things today: the dreaded consistency. Well, we have a little bit of a different twist on it. Consistency as a competitive advantage. I don't want y'all to be like, everybody talks about consistency, blah, blah, blah. I know. Let's talk about how consistency is actually your competitive advantage here on Whatnot. So that's what we're going to talk about. Then in our tax hour at the end, we're going to talk about mileage and travel deductions. I dove deep into mileage on one of my Friday night shows recently. So if you were here for one of those Friday tax talks in the evenings, you probably heard it, but we're going to talk about it again. But that's in the second hour. So let's start with that dreaded C word, consistency. We're also going to throw in a little bit of reliability in there. But why is it a competitive advantage to you? I really hope after this morning that you can walk away and be like, I know every single chat show talks about consistency, and it gets to the point where we get tired of hearing about it, right? Even JJ Shopper said something in one of her shows. She's like, I hate that word. She goes, this is all I heard at the very beginning of my Whatnot journey. And it's true. Well, let's talk about why, and let's talk about how do you use that to get ahead, because it's more than just showing up, right? There's some core to that. There's some root in there. So I want to just make a point that the sellers that are winning, the sellers that are being successful, they deliver a good experience over and over and over again. Well, how do they do that? Through being consistent and being reliable. So let's dig into it. First of all, when I say dig into it too, I want to talk about why. It's not just, I know I need to show up. I got to be there. I get it. It's more than that. It goes a lot deeper. Predictability, which falls under being consistent, creates trust with your buyers. Whether we want to admit it or not, when we go into shows, we have an innate distrust going into a show until we get to know the person. So any new seller, or if you've just been there for a little bit, you're asking yourself a bunch of questions. You don't know this person. Can you order? You are giving your hard-earned money to somebody. Every time you swipe, you had to work hours to get that money, and now you're about to hand it over to somebody that's out in there in the great, World Wide Web somewhere that you don't know from Adam. Are you really going to get your product? So whether you're consciously thinking that there's a trust thing going on, there is. It's there in your subconscious. So predictability, you being consistent, you being predictable as a seller, is the first step in establishing that trust with your buyers. And we're going to talk a little bit about rescheduling shows. I'm going to get there. I've got a note in here when we get there. It's one of those things that's always on the top of my mind about rescheduling shows. It's kind of become to me one of my soapbox things that I get on. It's kind of like one of those things that really gets me riled up. But if your shows start on time and your theme makes sense, so you're like having shop hours, exactly, Daisy Lane. It's like having your shop hours. I'll tell you what, I was at a cheer comp, give you a little story about how this kind of plays in real life. I was at a cheer comp a few weeks ago, or maybe a couple months at this point, down in downtown Baltimore. And what store was it? It wasn't a Moe's. What's the other one that's like Moe's? There's another one where you get like burrito bowls and stuff. It's a popular one. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. On the corner there. They were supposed to, Chipotle, thank you, yes. And they were supposed to open at like 11 a.m. that morning. We had a break in the cheer comp. We walked down 2 blocks, go across the street. It's 11 o'clock. I'm like, okay, they're going to open the door any minute. We're like 2 or 3 people in line. The line's getting longer. More people are expecting Chipotle to open. Most of us have looked it up on our phones. Where are the closest restaurants? What time do they open? This line was probably 20 people deep by 11:15. No workers in sight, no lights being turned on, nothing happening. Do you know how much grumbling and complaining there was in that line? We were like, all looking at our watches, checking our phones, like, come on, people, when are you going to open? And most of us left. Most of us left and went across the street and went and ate at like a Subway or something across the street instead. That's what happens when you don't show up to your shows. This is what happens when you're late for your own shows. They could be waiting for your show to start and you don't show up, and they're going to go to the next person over, the next tile that's sitting next to yours on their phone screen. You're losing customers by not being consistent or reliable. That predictability, knowing that your show is coming and then you showing up, creates the trust with your buyers. So when they are like, oh, wow, this show looks really cool. I like the thumbnail. Maybe they click in and you have a little video, or they look at your items and they're like, wow, I really like these. And maybe they like some of them, even if they don't pre-bid. Maybe they just put like little likes on there because they want to go and come back and get those items later. When you show up, they're like, that's the first thing that you've done that gives them that warm and fuzzy feeling. When that show starts on time, when they can rely on you and you're predictable, then they're like, oh, cool, they're here. When you don't show up, they're left wondering what's going on, right? So let's kind of like dissect this a little bit more. So I can't stress enough how important this is. So buyers' brains start to prepare before the show even begins. That's where that predictability comes in. We anticipate things. How many people here have you seen a thumbnail or seen a video in a show and you start to anticipate something that you may want in that show? I've done it. I do it at least once a week. I see something and I start to anticipate and I'm like, oh, wow, I really want to go see that show. I want to go check out what they're selling. Only one person, only one of you. No, none of you have anticipated. I know that's not the truth. So thank you. I know we do this. This is a common thing. We anticipate, right? So our brains start working before the show even begins. I was 2 minutes late last night, so I actually comment on my show. There you go. Exactly. Look, we are not perfect. Life happens to all of us. But you throw something in the show notes, right? Perfect thing, mamas. So that anticipation that the buyers are feeling is actually dopamine. We like to think of dopamine as that quick hit when we buy something. It's that rush. That's what creates shopping addictions. But that dopamine actually starts happening before the show starts. There is one show that tries to see exactly, and you start to get to the point where you become distrustful, or it gets you irritated. Why do you want to give your buyer a bad experience before they even got the good one? Wrong way to do that, right? First of all, we don't want them to have a bad experience at all. But to start on a bad experience, now you have extra work to do to get them to that good experience. Whereas if you do good, and then they have something that's not so wonderful, they're more likely to forgive you because you've already built up that trust with them. You've already built up that good experience. So dopamine, so let's go back to like why it's like this. Because it's not just us telling you as sellers to sellers saying, be there, be consistent. There is physical and psychological reasons why this works. And you talk about trust. If you're a new seller, how am I supposed to trust you? Exactly. You can't start your show on time. How am I going to even trust you to do anything else on time? Bottom line right there. I mean, that's what I think. All the time I think that when I see people. When you start thinking about any event, I want you to start thinking about, because I'm going to take this up like on a bigger scale, but it still applies. Christmas, birthday, and maybe as you get older, maybe it's not your birthday or your Christmas because we got to pay for them at that point, but maybe it's seeing the excitement in your kid's face, or going on vacation, or if you work a 9 to 5, you're like, man, I got PTO on Friday. When do you have the greatest excitement? It's leading up to the event, right? Think about it. When you have a big event, maybe you're having a big Easter is this weekend. Maybe you have a whole bunch of family over for Easter, the grandkids coming over, and they're going to be hunting for eggs in your yard. I bet you right now you're like, oh, this is, you got some of that work. You're like, yeah, I got to cook dinner, blah, blah. But you're like, I get to see them. They're going to be in their little dresses, and you're anticipating it, and you're excited, and you're happy. The feeling you have now is probably even greater than the feeling you're going to have in the moment. The anticipation is greater than the actual getting of whatever it is that you're getting. So your buyer's anticipation, that feeling that they have before your show, is even greater than the feeling they have during your show. The anticipation is usually a more heightened experience. And it may not be something that we're super aware of, but it's that dopamine. It's what's happening. So that's the predictability. You're having your grandbabies over Sunday. That's cool. So when you don't show up, you are already creating that negative experience for your buyers. They have that dopamine going, they're excited, and then it's just let down. Okay? So there is some real reasoning behind why you need to show up on time and to show up at all. My elderly mom lives with me, so I have to change something, but I always should. So time to be patient with me and then bookmark all my shows. And we all have those times and we have to reschedule a show, but I'm going to talk about it in just a second, because I think I've said this a bunch of times before, rescheduling is an exception. Do not make your exceptions the normal way you operate. It will hinder your success on here. People don't like to hear it. People want to go into seller support shows, and they want to hear, you're going to be wonderful and you're going to make $1 million and all you have to do is this and you're so great. No, that's all people want to hear. But I'm going to tell you the truth. That's not who I am. I'm going to tell you, if you constantly reschedule your shows, you're hurting yourself. Bottom line, that's what's happening. Part of the reason is there is a physical and a psychological reaction happening in your buyers' minds when you start rescheduling shows. Okay. Predictability also creates stronger FOMO. We all want that FOMO. We don't want it. We want our buyers to have FOMO, right? Because when your buyer knows that you are on, say, I'll just take my time, every Saturday at 4, and they start looking forward to this. So we were talking about building trust in a minute, but what about the people who are already coming to you, okay? The people who are your core tribe. They start knowing you're on every Saturday at 4. They start looking forward to that. When you just don't show up, they start thinking, oh man, what's going on? What did I miss out on? Or if they can't be there, they're like, I know she's running great items and I can't be there. And it's just FOMO. Your predictability creates this need and desire for them to be there. And if they can't be there, they start thinking, what am I missing? Oh, hotel lobby, thank you so much. That is so sweet. We as much as I want you here and being in our chat, because yes, that is absolutely what I want. We are on YouTube also. So we do broadcast everything to YouTube, just in case you ever wanted to get a little extra sleep, because I can totally get how that is. So if buyers can predict you, they can build you into their routine. I think Daisy Lane said it earlier. It's like having set standard hours. They know when to show up. We know we don't eat at Chick-fil-A on Sundays, because they're not open. But we know every other day of the week they're open. So I make it a point. I love me some Chick-fil-A. I'm a little bit addicted. So I know that if I'm shopping on a Saturday and I think, oh, I'll get it tomorrow. Oops, nope, I better go get it today because I can't go get it tomorrow. All right. I'm going to talk about rescheduling your shows, because the topic right now, what we're talking about is how consistency is a competitive advantage. You're going to hear everybody under the sun saying, just reschedule. I was in a show last night and they were like, oh yeah, I've got like 300 bookmarks because I've rescheduled it so many times. Just push it out some, just reschedule. Well, one, we just talked about what happens to your buyers' minds and bodies, that dopamine that's going through there. So now we know, one, that's not a good thing. But all you hear is all these people telling you to reschedule. If you don't, okay, because the masses are rescheduling. The masses on Whatnot think it's okay. If you choose not to schedule, you can set yourself apart and be a different show just by being on time and showing up. You can set yourself apart by being consistent and being predictable. How easy is that? We're all looking for a unique thing, right? We're looking, do I sing? Do I dance? Do I ring a bell? Do I, what do I do? Stand on my head, do cartwheels? What do I do in my show? Hello, Kim Landry. Well, you know what? You know how you could be different than the masses? Show up. Just show up already sets you apart. How easy is that? You already have an advantage to the general population on Whatnot. I mean, you're already ahead just by being there. It doesn't get any easier than that. Once you're consistent, let me take a drink really quick.
Also, just in case, if you check the community guidelines on the help.whatnot.com, this is what it says.
Good morning, Melon Stella Cards. So yeah, this is in the community guidelines under abusing that whatnot things on top of it. It's abusing something whatnot features. But down there on the bottom, excessively rescheduling shows is considered abuse of a whatnot feature, just in case you weren't aware of that.
Just in case. Good morning, Mel.
So not only can you get in trouble, think about it like this. What did whatnot recently do? If you reschedule your show more than, was it 48 hours, you lose your pre-bids. You think they did that just because they woke up one morning and decided, let's just make this change? No, they did it because there was so much complaints and so much rescheduling. It's a problem. So if you can separate yourself from the problem, children, you're that much better. In addition, consistency is going to compound your results. Think about consistency. I'm glad they updated it too. But you know what? Y'all, if you want, not everybody in this room, y'all, I know you're here because you're like focused. You want to do good in your business. If everybody else wants to keep rescheduling their shows, let them, because every time they move their show or they don't show up, that's another opportunity for somebody to find me instead. That's how you should be looking at it. So if you're not the one moving the show, every time somebody else does it is a better opportunity for you. Same thing I say is every time somebody else blocks somebody for no reason, because there's people who do that, good for you. That's more of a crowd that's going to come to my show. Well, let's get back to consistency. Consistency is like a bank account. So think of it like a bank account. So when you're putting in little bits of money, your savings account, every payday, you're dropping in little bits of money. It doesn't feel like a lot in the moment. But after a year, after 6 months, you can look back and see that growth that's happened. That's what consistency is going to do for your business. Those small, regular deposits of your time that you're putting in, your effort is compounding, not only with you and your business. Yeah, so we'll just keep telling them to do it, but we won't do it. No, I don't think anybody should do it, but yeah, Mom, on a roundabout way, it does help us. You showing up time and time again is like putting money in your bank account. Think about it like this. One show builds a little bit of familiarity. Oh, wow, I said that word. Actually, I knew I was going to trip over that word. Another show builds recognition. Then the next show builds loyalty. And the next show creates a repeat buyer. It's this compounding effect of doing it over and over and over and over again. When I first started doing tax shows, when I was first on here, I maybe got 4 or 5 people in my show. But you know what? I kept coming back week after week after week after week. Motivation to get started, habits drives consistency. Exactly. It's, to me, we're going to talk about this in a second, is more discipline. Discipline is actually what is driving it. But yeah, habits, just show up. But this goes back to planning. See, none of my shows, none of the things I talk about are like the standalone topic. They all interrelate. These are all business concepts that pull in together in some way, shape, or form. We go back to planning your shows. Don't plan a show every day of the week when your schedule's crazy hectic and you don't know if you're going to show up or not. Plan just one. And then if you can fit time in to do some pop-ups, wonderful for you, right? So have that one show that you know you can be at. Maybe you can plan 2. Maybe you have a babysitter. Grandma comes over and takes care of the kids every Tuesday and Thursday for 2 hours so that you can do your shows. And then have somebody on backup just in case. If grandma doesn't show up to take care of the kids. Good morning, the Vintage Fox. We do have a giveaway going, you guys. It is a CEO affirmation card and a vintage postcard. That will be all of our giveaways today. It is the CEO affirmation for week 14 is what you'll be getting. So this goes back to your planning. How you're planning is going to affect how you're going to show up. If you have a crazy life, you need to take a minute, maybe do the time blocking I've talked about. Figure out when you can't do shows. I can't do shows from about 9:30 to 5 o'clock because that's my normal work hours. I can get in trouble if I'm sitting on here during those hours. So I know that's out the door. So what does that mean for me? 7 a.m. in the morning. Because I know at 7 a.m. in the morning, there's usually less interruption in my life, less things going on, less emergencies. 7 a.m. in the morning is more predictable and reliable for me than 6 o'clock at night. Why? Something can blow up during my work day at work and I can end up having to work late at night and I would have to miss a 6 o'clock show. So do I schedule a lot of evening shows? Very rarely, and usually in times when I know it's not my busiest times at work. So this isn't just a standalone. Consistency comes from good planning too. You've got to look at the whole big picture together. Let's see who's going to get that. Trish, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. Thanks for being here. We're going to run another one. I know I can always, you can't. Thank you, Melissa. 7 a.m. Rain, shine, whatever. The only time I will not be here at 7 a.m. is if I'm like literally like in the bathroom puking my brains out or like dying a bit. Like I'm, or God forbid have to be with a loved one for some awful reason. Other than that, I am going to be here. When I travel, when I'm doing whatever, I'm going to be here. I specifically look for flights around my 7 o'clock time on Friday mornings if I have to travel. Because this is important to me. Because the more I show up, the more people can count on me and look at me as being predictable and showing up. So think about it like this. You keep showing up. And we talked about it. Builds familiarity, recognition, loyalty, repeat buyers. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue one day, you start hearing people say, I see you everywhere. I see your name in all these different rooms. So it's not that you're everywhere or you're in all these different rooms. You know what it is? It's that your name pops up on a regular basis on their screen over and over and over again. All those little deposits of you showing up when you didn't feel like it or just being there on time gets to the point where people are like, wow, I see you everywhere. I hear this all the time and I'm like, it's barely me. It's usually my husband. Okay. You just got to keep showing up on time and be there. Think about a garden. Does anybody here garden? I can't grow stuff to save my life. I have a few plants in my house. I'm surprised they're still alive. But does anybody garden? Okay. You don't just pour water in and expect to see them tomatoes sprout the next day. It doesn't work like you try. I don't even try to garden. Like I kill cactuses. I really do. You water that garden. You weed it and you wait. You showing up to your shows is watering. You being on time. You over and over again, you're weeding it, you're watering and weeding that garden, and you have to wait. Business growth is usually pretty darn boring. Let me tell you, I'll get on here and you have gravel. I want to go somewhere where we have natural, like I really want to move to El Paso where I don't have to worry about grass and all the stuff, and I can just have like sand and rocks. I'd be thrilled with sand and rocks. Oh, but well, see, you can grow something, Ranch and Vines. But business growth, I'll get on here and talk about it. Look, I love it. I'm a geek. I think this is exciting. You can kill a rock garden. But business growth is really pretty boring. Why? Because it's slow. It's slow. But all of a sudden one day you look back and you're like, wow, what in the heck happened? I mean, I have 38 people in here. Some people may say 38 is not a whole lot. I'm super excited about that right now. Because there was a lot of times when I couldn't get 5. So to have 38 people, I'm like, man, this is freaking amazing. I don't understand the El Paso. Yes, I've been there. I have a lot of pros, a couple of cons. I just don't want the snow. I love where I'm at. Pennsylvania is gorgeous. It's beautiful. This winter really, really did me in. This winter was, so we'll see. Here's side note. We're going to scroll for a second. Yeah, it's like, exactly, DJ. Love it. I want to move really bad to where it's nice and warm and sunny all the time. However, I don't want to pay for it. It's expensive and I'm cheap. So I don't want to say cheap. I'm frugal. I'm very conscious of my money.
Wildflowers, we moved from Florida.
Yeah, we actually came here from Florida. So while I want to move, when I start thinking about what is it going to do to my business? That's a big one. I can't source in El Paso like I can source here. And how much is it going to cost me? I start going, So right now that's the stumbling block I got to get my mind over before I can take the next steps. So what does consistency look like on Whatnot? We've talked a little bit about this.
I know, Georgia Peach, right?
I know we can go back to Georgia, but there's only one spot in Georgia. I want to go to St. Simon's Island. That's like the only spot in Georgia I'd really want to go to.
She lived in Jacksonville. I lived in different places.
Yeah. I spent 23 years in Jacksonville, Florida, and nothing against Jacksonville, but I don't want to go back there. So, okay. On Whatnot, what is this? You're in St. Augustine? St. Augustine's beautiful. I love St. Augustine.
Yeah, we love St. Augustine. It was pretty cool.
You're in Jacksonville? cool. What side of Jacksonville, Hibiscus House? What side are you on?
DJ Europe, St. Pete. Wow.
Oh, okay. We lived all over. I owned 3 different homes in Jacksonville, not at the same time, at different times. Mary Luck, you got that giveaway. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
My kids. So, Hibiscus House, you may know this. My kids all went to Trinity. So Trinity Christian Academy is where all my kids went to school. Ponte Vedra, I love Ponte Vedra. You are across the ditch. So if y'all don't know, Jacksonville is kind of split up. Ponte Vedra is right next to it, and there is a river or ditch that flows through it, and you don't cross the ditch. You just don't. Ponte Vedra people stay in Ponte Vedra, and then Jacksonville people stay in Jacksonville. It's kind of this thing.
And Fort Myers is really nice too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Mount Dora. There's all kinds of. We got a ton of Florida people in here.
Well, awesome.
All
Welcome,
right.
welcome.
So what does consistency look like on Whatnot in real life? What does this mean for you? You're like, okay, I get it. I know how my buyers are feeling now. I know this is important. I know being consistent and reliable and predictable will set me apart on Whatnot. So going live when you said to, we've already talked about that. Being consistent in your thumbnails and titles. People will talk about the word consistency, reliability, predictability as just showing up and being there for your shows. While that is utmost of importance, it also applies to a ton of other things that are happening for you as a seller. What are you doing in your thumbnails? Are your thumbnails all over the place, or do you have some consistent design within your thumbnail? It doesn't have to be the exact same one, but is there something recognizable that when people are scrolling, they know it's you? That's consistency in helping in marketing and helping people know and to find you. Titles. What are you doing in your titles? Are those consistent in some manner? Are they consistent with what's happening in your show? Okay. Are you saying dollar starts in your title just to get people to come in there, but then you're only running one or two things at $1 and everything else is high priced? Because how are people going to feel about that? If you see dollar starts in a title and you go into the show and they're running $10, $15 items, and then every now and then they're going to pull out a $1 item. And maybe you shouldn't be advertising dollar starts then, right? So consistency in what they're seeing and what they're experiencing, what they're reading, what you're setting them up for. Because again, it's setting them up for something, and then they come in and they don't experience that, then that doesn't give them the warm and fuzzies. Okay. I'm reading a message, but I'm like, that's more towards Noel. How about...
Good morning, Forgotten Memories.
Good morning, Forgotten Memories. How about greeting your buyers? Are you consistent with how you're treating the people in your room? That's a big one. That could be a huge turn off for some people. Following up after shows. Now, this one could be a bit touchy because I'm not one to recommend handwriting notes after every show. I do not think that's sustainable as you grow. But do you have some type of card that you print? Do you have some type of a way that you are doing some type of follow-up to encourage repeat buyers after your shows? Is there anything that you're doing here, and are you doing it on a consistent basis? Yeah, and you lose trust with people who misadvertise like that. Exactly. Or how about this one on your thumbnails? Let's go back to consistency and setting those expectations and predictability, because we're talking about setting them up for coming into your show, right? You see, and I'm just going to put it out there, some gorgeous AI, beautiful girl on the thing. And even us as women, and I'm not talking in our thumbnail, I'm not talking about this in a sexuality type way. I'm just talking about this as a recognition type way. I see a beautiful, woman finely dressed and maybe some gorgeous jewelry on in a thumbnail, AI or not, and maybe it's a jewelry show. So I'm expecting some really nice high-end jewelry by that thumbnail, and I go in and they're selling cheap dollar store rings or Temu rings. Well, that was really an expectation buster, right? Or maybe it's vintage decor and you see some hens on a nest, and it's a 60-year-old biker. Exactly. Some guy with a big old beard, and I'm expecting a beautiful young girl selling stuff. And again, it's not in a sexuality way. It's in an expectation way. And that you're not consistent with what you're advertising, what you're showing, what you're drawing people in for. So you're setting them up for something, and then you're breaking their heart when they come in, right? Oh, okay. Real quick, before we go on, I'm going to stop. Hold on. I'm going to finish this thought that my husband wants to show something. So think about that. Think about what you're doing. You've been catfished. Yes. Clickbaited. That's it. Keeping your show themes clear. maybe being in the right category. You know what drives me nuts? And if you do this, I'm just going to call you out. I'm not going to call you out by name, but I'm going to call out the people who do this. Do not put your selling show in the community if it doesn't belong in community. Okay. There are certain shows that belong in community, but don't put your t-shirt sale or your vintage decor sale or your first show be in community when you're not doing anything as far that's considered community. If you are having a selling show, put it in a selling category. That is my pet peeve. Drives me insane. I feel that every time I see it, I'm like, if you're not doing some type of a chit chat, seller help, get to know me thing, that's not community. That doesn't mean that you can't sell a little bit throughout that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if your main goal is you're just selling, then it doesn't belong there. To me, that's part of keeping your show themes clear. Routines in your shows. We talk a lot about having a show flow. What can people expect when they come into your show? Are you consistent in your routines and your language in your show? You know, every Friday morning, I'm going to do my business topic. I'm going to do my tax topic. I make 5 points on business, 5 points on tax. You can kind of know exactly what's going to happen as we're moving through my show. I was supposed to be on my couch. Yes, absolutely, mamas. Absolutely. So none of these things feel huge individually. But when you start pulling this all together and you wonder where them people are asking, well, why isn't nobody in my show? Well, I just named like 8 things. Have you even looked at any of these 8 things? And none of them have to do with lighting or your product. Okay. Maybe that's why. All right. I'm going to take a quick little break there. We want to re-announce, since we have more people in the room, we want to talk about the new feature we just realized was available on Whatnot. The Whatnot Help says it came out yesterday. So if you are unaware, you can now share your screens on Whatnot. If you were here at the beginning, I'm sorry, you're going to get a little recap, but we got a lot of new people in, so I want to let them know too. So we found this last night. We thought it was such a cool feature. We wanted to bring it to you guys today and talk about it. It's not like we have, firsthand knowledge. We stumbled across it on Whatnot Help last night. However, as a seller, you can share your screen. You start your phone on your start your show on your phone, and then you can use your computer. Let him take over. Yeah, it's tech. I don't do tech.
So basically, you start your show on your phone. For those of you who are sellers, this might be a good tool for you to use. And sorry for the ones that already experienced it. So you can share now your computer screen on your live. And it's really, really easy. So you start your show on your phone and as regular, and then you go into your computer, log onto your Whatnot account, and then go to your shows. Once you go on the computer on your shows, there'll be an option for you to start sharing your screen of your computer, and you can select different options. You can select to share the whole entire screen or just a tab or some other portions. So I'm going to show you how it works. It basically splits the screen as if you were co-hosting with someone, and you can move the screens and flip them, one on top, one on the bottom. Here we go.
Mary asked, can you use an iPad instead of a computer?
No, I don't think so. I think it's only on the computer. So in this case,
no OBS needed. No, this is a built-in feature now.
No OBS needed. Just everything. So I'm going to share my screen right now with you guys, and you can see right there, this is what comes out. You can see here that says stop sharing. This is where you're gonna start sharing, and then you can just use your browser.
Good morning, Kat Daniels.
And you can switch on your browser different windows to show whatever you want to do. So you can do videos, you can do images, you can do a whole bunch of other stuff.
The Cozy Old Farmhouse. Some of the benefits of this, do you want to go ahead and close that and come back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of the benefits of this, so think about this. If you're doing a chat show like what I'm doing now, we have other technology we use where my husband can bring up my iPad screen and I can write on it to actually show different concepts that I'm talking about. He can actually bring up videos and stuff because of his other equipment. Well, you don't need any of this other equipment now. You could, if you're doing a chat show and you want to show how to use a Whatnot feature, maybe you're talking about like Crystal's Vintage talks about how to use CSV. So instead of holding up your phone to your camera like this or your iPad, you can actually switch over and show people step by step. That's one thing. That's on an educational basis. On another way you can use this as a raid train conductor. If you're trying to show people who's on the train, instead of holding up your iPad, you can actually put their show on the screen or put their profile and show it right on the screen. What if you're just in a show and there's some complimentary item to maybe something you're selling, or there's some benefit to something you're selling? You can pull that up and show it. Maybe there's a funny meme that goes along that is going to increase engagement. We didn't even find about this more than 24 hours ago. So you can start thinking about ways, how can I incorporate this into my show in a way that's going to increase my engagement with the people in my room, maybe help increase value of something I'm selling. There are so many ways that we can start thinking outside of the box on how to use this. This is a really exciting feature that's coming.
So you go to, you're going to go, let me show you on this end.
How about what next section? I'm not sure what you're saying, DJ.
Let me show you here. This is going to be a little bit easier. So you go into selling on the whatnot, on the help.whatnot.com. And then on selling, where you go is on where it says going DJ. Live. See all 21 articles. And then almost at the very bottom, it says share your computer screen during a show. When you click that one, it'll open up all the information that you need to learn on how to do that. It also has even audio. So if you're interested in audio, you can actually play certain audio that comes into your stream. But it says right there, if you're playing audio, lower the volume on your phone to prevent the echo. So read it, check it out. I think it's a pretty cool feature that it just came out, and it's going to open up a lot of possibilities for you guys.
Yes. And there's already some ideas in the chat. You can show upcoming products. That's what DJ says, like, hey, I'm doing this, but look at what's in the works, what's coming up. Somebody else said, I just read something else that was really cool. Hold on. I know I just read it. Oh, pictures to go along with your stories. Exactly. If you're telling history, if you're doing a niche type show, very niche, where you explain a lot and tell stories, having a picture like, hey, this came from Naples. Have you guys ever been to Naples? Check this out. See this little spot here? That's actually the factory where this was made. I mean, I'm just making stuff up, but I'm sure you can come up with ways to use this in an effective manner. Now, if you do this for every single item and you're switching back and forth, trust me, because we do videos quite often, people will get like, ugh. No, you don't have to use OBS for this.
No OBS required.
It's a built-in feature.
It's all built-in feature.
Yeah.
And yes, DJ, absolutely. That would be pretty cool. PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
If you're making some kind of teachable moment or something, and you want to direct your audience, that's a perfect example to do it.
Think about this. Think about the show themes you can do. Okay, when you come into our show, we always have an opening and closing on our shows. You can do openings and closings now.
Kat Daniels, it's on the help.whatnot.com. You can read the article right there. You need 2 devices. You're going to need the phone that you start your stream with and a computer. And that's it. So,
think about building show themes around this. Can you do a walk, let's do a tour around the United States, and you get an item from different places in the United States and you pull that picture up, picture up of Mississippi and then a picture up of California, whatever. Like there's so many ways. This is the type of stuff that gets me excited. Seeing the tools on Whatnot and seeing like, oh, this is something new. How can I make this work for me? That's exciting, you guys, because guess what? Think about this. How many people here? I know two people that names that I've seen in the list today, in the room today, that I know use this feature. How many people use the, what's it called? The camera in camera feature?
Natural State of High is the one uses the face cam.
Face cam, that's what I'm saying. Natural State of High and the Aaron Sphere are the only 2 people of all the names I've seen today that I know for a fact that I've seen use the face cam. Okay, that's a feature that's on Whatnot. And you know what? They're using it and a lot of other people aren't. And what does that do? It sets them apart. Okay, not many people are going to use this feature. First of all, it was announced yesterday. If you go and look at that article, it says it was published yesterday or updated yesterday. Not many people know about it. Not many people are go and even read terms of service. We know that for a fact by the bad information.
It's called, I'm going to put it again so you can see it. So you go to the Whatnot, the helpwhatnot.com, and then you're going to go to selling. And then after selling, you're going to go to where it says going live, see all 21 articles, and you scroll all the way to the bottom and it says share your computer screen during the show. You click that, and that's going to give you all the instructions that you need. It's very simple.
So even if people know about this, not many people are going to use it. That's the point I was making with that face cam thing. It's been out forever. And of all the people, of all the shows I think about, there's only two that come to my mind that of the people I watch that I know use it on a regular basis.
Yes,
So,
Mama's Couch. She can use it. She
Yeah.
can use it, and you can continue running the camera, and you don't lose track of anything.
So this is what's so cool about Whatnot. Think about all the different tools and how you can mix and match these tools to make yourself unique. You don't need to sing and dance. You don't need to stand on your head and do cartwheels. There's a million tools that you can combine in ways that other people aren't to set yourself apart.
Cat
Even-
Daniels. That just came. I just noticed that it just came out a couple of I think yesterday or the day before was announced. We use something completely different, and I have a ton of equipment rigged to be able to bring you guys the extra that you see. This is something that is built in the app for you to use. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, we use other things, but now you don't need to be super techie. You don't need to know OBS. You have a built-in tool. Okay, let's keep going. Well, I just wanted to stop. I saw some more people come in and I just wanted to announce that again because I just think this is a really, really cool feature that is going to kind of change some of the ways that some of us do Whatnot.
Like Cat Daniels, for example, that desk that you see in front of her, I can make it disappear.
The face cam, we can't do the face cam because we're not on a phone. We run on computers. Howard, put me in the bubble. The face cam is basically doing this.
So I can put myself in the bubble.
There you go. This is basically what Facecam is. We do it a little bit different. Facecam built in to Whatnot. It's a feature while you're running your show. You click on the dots at the top, and there's one of those options is Facecam. What it's going to do is it's going to use your front and your back cameras. So one of it's going to be in a box at the top, and then the other camera is going to show the face, and you can switch those. That's a built-in feature to Whatnot. I suggest going to the Aaron Sphere. Aaron and
The natural state of
Zodi,
high.
Natural State of High is right there. So you can click on either one of their names and follow a couple of their shows. Both of them utilize that feature a lot and utilize it in a really effective manner.
Good morning, Chris Marie. Welcome in.
All right, we're going to go back now. Let's finish talking about our consistency, reliability, and all of that. How is that your competitive advantage on here? Okay, we're talking about competitive advantage on being consistent and showing up when nobody else does. Well, guess what? You can do other things that nobody else does too. So reliability, we talked about how your buyers, when they can rely on your show to be there and for you to show up, that creates that fulfills that dopamine that starts before the show starts, and then they come in, and then it gives them that trust. Reliability attracts your buyers too. It is super attractive to people to know how many people here have friends and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to ask them to lunch, they never show up. Or you go to call somebody and you're like, I'm not going to call them, they never answer their phone. Or you text somebody and you're like, they might text me back in 3 days. They never answer on time, right? It's not very attractive. Reliability, being a reliable person, is very attractive. It's attractive to our buyers if we are reliable sellers. Buyers are taking a risk every time they shop with you until they really get to know you. I don't like unreliable people. So why should we be an unreliable seller? That's part of our responsibility. Buyers, every time they walk in your room, is this going to be as described? Am I going to get it on time? Are they going to pack it appropriately? You know, all of these things. Did their cat lick it? They're asking all these questions. Is it going to come with dog hair on it? Like they want to know all these answers that are going through their heads, right? So every time that we show up, we're reliable. Whatever we say we do creates that trust in our buyers and lowers the
Thank you for your purchase from the bin.
anxiety that they have in the show. Not the cat. I know. I was listening to some seller last night. Who was I was listening to? Who was talking about how. Good morning, Scuba Stevio. The Vintage Fox. Hello. Somebody was saying that they got a box and that some cat had sprayed on it. I'm like, oh, that would be a nightmare. So think of reliability as a bridge, okay? People will cross a bridge if it feels strong. You're out there hiking, you see a bridge, you're like, tap it with your foot. You're like, okay, I'll cross this log bridge, right? But if that bridge doesn't look too shaky, if that bridge is like, I'm not too sure about this, you're not going to get on it. You're going to hesitate before you like put your weight on that bridge because you're not sure if you can trust it. Okay. A reliable seller creates a bridge from interest to purchase. Our reliability takes somebody from being interested to somebody who is now purchasing. That's what our reliability does. It's not this far out concept, but you can bubble our new feature in rehearsal. Do you in rehearsal, maybe not rehearsal mode, but I would suggest doing a private show with somebody you trust or a couple of people, and then you can test out all the features. So we want our reliability as like a bridge for our buyers. We are creating a path. If you've been around me, you know I talk a lot about breaking down any barriers to buying. Being reliable is a barrier. Not being reliable is a barrier. So being reliable opens up that door. Reliability also, okay, spreads by word of mouth. The more people rely on you, the more your buyers come in, they have a good experience. You're there, you show up, your show starts on time, you're describing items as they are, you're shipping them out on time. The more reliable you are, the more they have those warm and fuzzies. Auntie Barbie, you got that giveaway. Thanks for being here. The more they're get those warm and fuzzies about you, guess what they're going to do? They're going to talk about you. They're in a good way. Your name's going to start popping up in other rooms. We just talked about how consistency builds momentum. You're showing up again and again and again on time, again and again and again, right? You're putting those little deposits in the bank all the way along. Now people are coming in your shows. They're seeing that they can count on what you're saying. You're building that trust factor. Now they're talking about you in other rooms, and that's driving in more people. This isn't as hard as we make it out to be. This isn't about, let me be reliable and get to the top of the algorithm. Heck with that. Forget all those outside things. If you are a good person, if you are consistent, reliable, predictable, guess what's going to happen? You're going to build a tribe. You're going to get spoken about in other shows. Your tribe is going to grow and grow and grow and grow. It is not as hard as people make it out to be. People come on this app and they're like, the first question they ask is, how do I get people in my room? How do I grow? How do I get bigger? Well, first of all, what are you doing? Do you schedule a show and then do you start it on time, or do you reschedule it? Do you not show up at all? Are you doing what you say you're going to do? A lot of this comes down to just being a darn good person to begin with. It's not rocket science. I think I missed a comment. I want to go back and look at it really quick. Make sure you have nothing in your shop if you do private shows. If something bookmark, others can get in the show. Oh, I didn't know that. Mary, I did not know that. All right, so be a good person. There it is. I'm going to do my whole show. I'm just going to come on one day. I'm going to be like, today's Friday's talk. Be a good person. Thank you all. I mean, really, it does. It just comes down to that. So reliability spreads by word of mouth. What's going to happen? People are going to go in your show or go into other shows, and they're going to be like, you know what? She always has a good show, or he packs so great, or you can always trust their descriptions. They're going to say these things about you, which then piques other people's interest. That's the kind of marketing we want. That marketing is worth gold right there. Engaging in other shows, talking people up. Absolutely. All right. Momentum grows over time. So we talked about how your consistency builds that momentum. Momentum is one of the most encouraging parts of a business, okay? I said earlier, business growth is slow and painful, and it is. It's very slow until one day you look back and you're like, look at this beautiful garden that I've just grown. Okay? Well, momentum is one of the most encouraging things. When you can actually see see your business rolling forward and see it getting faster and bigger and growing, that gets you really excited. So in the beginning, new to what I didn't know community section exists. Oh, awesome. Well, I'm glad you found it. Welcome. Speaking of, let me start another giveaway too really quick here. Okay.
Welcome. So
think about this. In the beginning, and you're doing your show, it almost feels invisible, right? It almost feels like you first start and you maybe get that one or two people trickling in, and you're kind of like, does anybody even know I'm here? Like, hey people, hey, come see me, right? That's how we feel. I don't know about you guys, that's how I feel every time I hit the go live button. It's like, hey everybody, I'm here, come see me, right? But then once it starts going and the chat's popping and you're going and you got your energy, it starts to fly by. Think of it like this. I thought this was the coolest analogy ever. A whatnot show is kind of like a church potluck. Anybody been to a church potluck? I have. I've been to a church potluck. Okay. That first person in the room, the first person who shows up, you feel kind of awkward. You come in with your casserole and you set it down and you're like, is anybody going to show up today? You know, and you're waiting, you're kind of sitting in the corner. Maybe you're checking your phone. But then people start to arrive. The plates start filling up. People start lining up for that food. Conversation starts. And all of a sudden, this whole room that you were just feeling awkward in comes alive. Okay? That's a whatnot show for you. Right there. Momentum grows over time. Okay? How do you get that momentum? Thank you, Kimmy D. How do you get that momentum? Guess what? You're not going to get it if you don't show up to your show. You're not going to get it if you show up late to your show. You're not going to get it if you keep rescheduling your show, because they're not going to show up. People aren't going to come in. All of this kind of leads up together. You got to be consistent, reliable, predictable in order to have that potluck be a success at the end of the day. If a church says there's going to be a potluck at Sunday after church, and then they're like, oh, wait, maybe in an hour. Oh, maybe at 2. Maybe after tonight's service. Oh, no, you know, we're going to push it to next week. How many times are you going to bake that casserole and show up before you give up? You have to keep it in. You know Sister Sally's going to steal your casserole dish. You absolutely know it. All right. Finally, let's get down to the final point here. My husband's just having too much fun with my background here. Discipline outperforms intensity. What does all of this take? Discipline. I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning. Yes, especially, and the good Pyrex, the hard to get Pyrex, right?
Brass Stack Goods, keep on at it. Keep on at it.
So there's sellers on here that are going to say, buy this book and read this book and you're going to be the next, whatnot sensation, or follow my program. You'll be the next whatnot sensation, or do this and you'll be whatever. Do this and you can make $1 million. No, you know what you need to do? Have a little bit of discipline. Have a little bit of discipline. You can't show up just when you feel like it. You can't show up just because you're having a good day. You can't show up only when the kid is doing whatever. Arrange for somebody to take care of your kids, or arrange your shows when your children are in bed, or, go put their show on. Do whatever it is with the kids that you need to do your show. If you're working 9 to 5, arrange your shows before or after. There's no silver bullet. Exactly. There's 1,000 golden babies. There you go. I love that saying. You have to be disciplined. This is such a big one. Intensity. You can be intense. There's a big difference between intensity and discipline. Intensity, like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go get it. That's not discipline. That's excitement. That feels exciting. Okay. Discipline feels ordinary and boring. And you know what? Ordinary and boring wins. It's not going to be glamorous. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be ordinary and boring, but you're going to build a business. And are you here just to have fun, or are you here to build a business? Now, there could be some combination of that. Don't get me wrong. Here's an unpopular thought. The turtle wins over the rabbit. Exactly. Disciplined, hard work over and over and over again. Consistent, reliable, predictable. Comes through discipline. Here's my unpopular opinion. Raid trains are all about intensity. Raid trains are excitement. Raid trains are not disciplined whatsoever. Now, if you're a conductor, I'm not talking about the conductor. I'm talking about you building a business off of raid trains. Raid trains are exciting. Oh, I love this theme. Hello, Livy. Thank you. My husband keeps changing it on me. I'm as surprised as you are. Whatever I see pop up on the screen, I don't know what's coming next. If you constantly chase raid trains and you build your business around that, you're chasing excitement. You're chasing somebody else's dream, somebody else's theme, somebody else's thought and idea. You're chasing that excitement of the raid train, the build up to it. Like, these people are going to be here. This is so great. Look at all these people following this train. I'm not saying never be on a raid train. Wildflowers for the table. You got that giveaway. Congratulations. I'm not saying never be on a raid train. What I'm saying is if all you do is chase raid trains, you're chasing intensity. You're chasing excitement. Where's your discipline for your own shows? Where's your discipline to show up for yourself week after week after week after week, whether you feel like it or not? Where's your discipline to be consistent, to be predictable, to be reliable? Okay? They're two very different things. And I'm not saying they're bad. Raid trains aren't bad, but you have to use them in a way that makes sense for your overall business. They do not replace the discipline that it takes to be consistent and show up time and time again. Okay. Oh, that was a lot. I need to take a break really quick. All right. Intensity, the excitement, loyalty, honor, respect, and not exactly, it's who you are. Again, I'm going to do a whole show. I just said I'm going to do a whole show. Be a good person. There you go. That's my whole show right there. Take a sip. Yes, I need a sip of coffee, even though it's almost empty. All right. Intensity creates like this little short burst, right? But discipline creates lasting change. Lasting growth comes from discipline. And discipline is not always fun and it's not always glamorous. But after a certain period of time, you can stop and look back and you can be like, look at this beautiful garden that my business has turned into. Look at what I have grown. Let's see. I started to spend less time on other people's show and more time on my own. Now I have, there you go, Kat Daniels. And I will always say the social aspect is very important, but yes, you're here for you. Most of us probably came on to be a buyer, then we decided to be a seller. The minute you go from a buyer to selling, doesn't mean you still can't buy, but the minute you step into that seller role, guess what? This is all about your business now. You're there to support, to market, to network. It doesn't work any different. Whatnot is no different than the real outside brick and mortar world. I'm a CPA in real life. Do you know what we do in real life? We're responsible for a book of business. We got to go and network. We got to meet people. We got to bring people into the firm, new clients all the time. And the other part of that is we are always networking with other CPAs. Just like on Whatnot, you are networking with other sellers in other sellers' room. We network so that we can refer people, so that we can have people get referred to us, so that we're friendly in that community. But am I going to ignore my own business? No, my main focus is my business, my CPA business in the real world. The networking is a side component. That comes the same here. Even though this is a social app, your main focus is on your business. And then as a component to that, you are networking, which is a social aspect of Whatnot. Balance, absolutely. Balance is key. What am I missing? There you go. I started building a customer, right? Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, thank you, Faye West Designs. All right. Think about this. I just want you to ponder something. If you became more disciplined over the next 90 days, what could really change for your business? If there is something you can be more disciplined in, just imagine what could change for your business by being more disciplined. Whether that's showing up on time, not rescheduling shows, taking a minute to really stop and think about your show schedule and if it's realistic to your lifestyle. If you could be more disciplined, the possibilities are unlimited on where you can go with your business. Yes, working harder, not smarter, definitely increases your momentum and your business decreases the stress. Thank you, Ranchan Finds. I guess he found a good one. You're the second person to say something about it today. All right. That is the business topic. We are going to switch over now that we've talked a ton about consistency. So just to kind of wrap it up, I'm going to get back on my soapboxes. Can't launch a rocket without going through the process. There you go. I'm going to just kind of get back on my soapbox really quick to summarize this up. Consistency isn't just being here. Okay. It's not just turning on the app every day. It's not just hitting go live. It's consistency creates your shows. Don't ever forget that buyers, the biggest dopamine hit that they get is the anticipation of a show starting. The minute you reschedule your show or when you start to be late, that dopamine goes away and they have a bad experience. We don't want that to happen. Consistency is more than just Fern and Forrest vintage. Thank you so much. Took me a second. We want good experiences all the way through. He's distracting me with all his so showing up on time, making sure that your themes match whatever your titles is, match your theme of your show, using consistent thumbnails, using consistent language. All of this helps grow your business. It's not glamorous, but it works, and you do it over and over and over again. All right, let's move into our tax topic. You're consistent with your inconsistencies. Oh, I have your beauty. No. All right. Tax topic. I talked about this in a really, really deep dive a couple of weeks ago on a Friday night tax show, but we're going to go over it again because usually we have different crowds. But what I want to talk about for the tax, we're getting off consistency. I'll put the C word away, give you all a break on that. Mileage and travel deductions. And I have for sourcing is kind of the big title, but this is really mileage and travel deductions overall. This is a huge one for us, especially right now. We're 13 days away from tax day. All of you probably know, oh yeah, I can get mileage. That's pretty common. You don't need to be a CPA to know about that. However, what do you need to do in order to get that? What does the IRS expect from you? How do you do it without getting in trouble with the IRS? We don't want that. How do you do it to maximize it to the most that you can? And we're not going super deep into this, but we're going to kind of give you the overview to get you up and rolling. In addition, I did create a pretty cool mileage tracker. I took mine and kind of beefed it up some for you, made it better. So if you want an Excel mileage tracker, the first sheet is all where you track. The second sheet summarizes everything, gives you a projected deduction amount. Message me your email address. So hold on, my husband's writing me a note. Let's see what he says. DM me your email address. We will send you a link to it. And you'll have this Excel tracker for free, no charge. After today, it is going into my PDFs that I do sell. So if you want a mileage tracker and it's an Excel file, just shoot me a DM. You'll get it for free today. So sourcing trips. I do not know. I do not use Google Sheets. Does Excel transfer to Google Sheets?
Yeah, you can bring it up on Google Sheets. You can try to open it in Google Sheets.
Okay. All of your sourcing trips may be deductible. I'm going to say may because you'll hear.
Not all the formulas transfer exactly the same, but.
That's what Gonzo's saying. Yeah, you lose some of the formulas. And I do have formulas built into this. So if you're just typing in where you're supposed to type, you should be able to have nice, good summary by year end. And I've built a sheet so it will capture all the required IRS stuff that you need to capture. So you can even get it for free if you want, see it and build your own from it. That's fine. It doesn't bother me any. If you're going to auctions, estate sales, garage sales, post office, all of that good stuff, if it's for business purposes, and this is the May, if it's for a business purpose, it's deductible. Last year, 2025, so the taxes that we're working on right now, 70 cents a mile. Adds up super quick. 2026, this year, 72.5 cents a mile. And you're like, oh, 2.5 cents. 2.5 cents makes a huge difference when you're driving thousands of miles a year. Oh, thank you so much, Livia. I so appreciate that. As sellers, we often tend to focus on those really large deductions that we can take. Oh, I bought a new printer. I got the Rollo. I got a camera. I bought this. And we look at these large deductions and we will tend to overlook the smaller ones. But it's those smaller ones that build up and build up and build up. It's usually the smaller deductions, such as mileage, that actually end up being the largest ones because it's like what we were talking about with consistency. It builds over time. So just because you drove 2 miles down the road to your post office today doesn't mean you're not going to do it at least 52 times this year, once a week. If you go to the post office 1 time a week, you've gone to the post office 52 times. So just take a second and think in your head, how far is that post office from your house, round trip? Mine's like 10 miles. So that's almost a 20 miles, 52 times for me. See how quick that adds up. Yeah, you wish it was only 2 miles away, so it's probably further. It's a bigger deduction. If you are not tracking your mileage, that's in essence what you're basically doing is like if you clipped a bunch of coupons. Anybody here remember the extreme couponing days when they used to have a show on, and then people would show up with like bags full of coupons? Yeah. So not tracking your mileage. Oh, Fern Forrest, it's your lucky day. That's number 2. Thank you for being here. Not tracking your mileage is kind of like clipping all those coupons, walking up to the register, and then saying, yeah, screw that, and throwing them away. That's what not tracking your mileage does. That means you're going to drive all year long. You're going to invest all this time, and then you're going to get to tax time, and you're going to be like, never mind. Why would you throw $1,000 away? Okay. You have to keep a mileage log. Not brand new news here. You have to keep a mileage log, and they must be consistent. Anything I'm telling you on mileage, really quick, I'd like to give you where you can go and find this on your own. Publication 463, which is an IRS publication, www.irs.gov. Publication 463 will talk about record keeping, we'll dig into some of the mileage, okay? Clearly states that you need adequate records. You cannot sit here. We do it. I know people do it. You can't sit here now, 13 days before tax day, and say, let me figure out where I drove last year. You need to be keeping that record during the time that it's happening. My wife mathed it out, and it was like $900 just in post office. Forgotten memories. There you go. $900 just to be driving to the post office. Would you turn away a $900 sale? If you're not tracking your mileage and you're about in that ballpark, that's what you're doing in essence. I'm done. It's no fun. It's no fun to sit here and try to recreate the miles that you drove. You need to be tracking them in real time, not months later. You will leave money on the table if you're trying to go back and recreate. 1, the IRS says don't do that. 2, you're going to leave money on the table. 3, if you're ever audited in the IRS, really, it's pretty easy as an auditor. I'm a trained auditor. To know when you've recreated versus when you've done it when you're supposed to. Does the mileage log need to include the mileage on the vehicle or just the number of miles per trip? You should always record on January 1st every year your beginning mileage, because then every January you have a beginning and an ending for the year, because you will need to know the total miles driven in a year. Does it have to be odometer? You can just put the number of miles. Like when you're recording it, you can say, I drove 10 miles, I drove 20 miles, whatever it is. But at least once a year, January 1st, record the odometer reading, because you do need to put on your tax return the total number of miles driven for the year. The only way to know that total number of miles driven is to know the odometer at least once a year, every January 1st. So every January 1st, December 31st, I suggest 2 big things. Do your inventory and write down your odometer reading. Those are 2 things you need for tax returns and you need moving forward for your good bookkeeping. You don't need the odometer throughout the year. That's a pain in the butt. I would probably leave money on the table if I had to do that. It's hard enough to remember to do your mileage. It's hard enough to remember to do it as it is. Yep, it's on your oil change sticker too. Yeah, so if you didn't write it down, you can go and kind of get a good idea by that oil change sticker. That's a really good point. A lot of people won't think to look there. A notebook. You can note it as of today. And most people, I love the oil change thing, because most people get oil changes every 3 to 6 months. So you might have one around that January timeframe too. Oil needs to be changed occasionally, just every now and then. You can screenshot the car's app you can. A lot of them, I know Fords. I have the Ford app. I drive a Ford F-150, and I have the Ford app, and it gives me all that information right in my app. Yep, taking photos with my show than your oil changes. All right. Yes, I love the Ford app too. Okay, so we know we have to track it. It doesn't matter how you track it. You can use the free Excel sheet we'll give you. You can use a notebook and a pen and paper. You can use apps. There's a ton of apps out there that'll track it for you. Whatever works for you. There's no IRS approved method, except that you're tracking it is what the IRS says. There's not one that's better than the other. It's whatever you're going to use consistently and remember to use, because it's really easy to be out running an errand and then you're like, oh man, I've got an extra hour before I got to do this. Let's run over to the thrift store. guess what? That part of your trip is deductible. So it's really easy to just to like have these little trips that are like these side quest, and you forget to put your mileage down for it. Yes, don't leave your mileage money. Think about it like this. I'm going to give you an analogy. I always got to do an analogy. If you're baking a cake and you just toss in ingredients, right? You're tossing in this, that, and the other thing. You're not measuring anything. Can you make a cake that way? Yeah, probably. Is it going to taste very good? Can you repeat it? Probably not. A mileage log's the same way. If you're just recording, I did not, that came up too quick. TL Angel, I think it was. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. A mileage log's the same way. If your record keeping is random, it's not reliable. It's harder to support the deduction. You're not going to be able to recreate it. It's not going to taste so good. It's not going to look so good to the IRS. So make sure you're keeping it. What are the three main things you need to keep? Date, miles, and purpose. If we buy inventory from yard sales or church sales that doesn't give receipts, just write it down, keep a logbook. As long as you're keeping a consistent logbook of people who don't give receipts, and you're writing like the date, how much you spent, what it was for, you're fine. That stands up to any IRS scrutiny whatsoever. So date, miles, and purpose. Those are the three things that you absolutely need to keep on a regular basis. Three things. That's it. Date, miles, and purpose. Purpose, why? Because the IRS wants to make sure that it is a business purpose. If it's not for business, it's not deductible. You have to put on your tax return the total number of miles driven, how many were for business, and how many were personal. That does not mean you need to keep a personal log and a business log. If you know your odometer reading on January 1st, you go a year, you take your odometer reading again. Now you know how many miles you drove. You're keeping your business log. Now you know how many business miles, how many you drove minus your business miles equals your personal miles. But you have to put those three pieces of information on your tax return. And you want to be as accurate as you can, right? You don't want to lie to the IRS. Doesn't have to be fancy. Business purpose is the key. So I really cannot stress enough. The IRS could care less that you drove somewhere. They don't care if it was the post office, if it was the thrift store, if it was the auction house. They don't care. You know what they care about? That it was for business. You have to make sure it's for business. And if you're driving places, that's a business purpose, but looks like it's not. Let me think. Walmart. You go to Walmart. It is on the Schedule C, Sunshine. Very great question. It is. If you go to Walmart to buy some boxes and tape, very common thing. I hear a lot of people talking that they get some stuff at Walmart. Good morning, C&G cards. If you were the IRS and you just saw, I deducted, 20 miles from my Walmart trip. They sell clothing, they sell food, they sell household. How do I know that's a business trip, right? So you might want to put, that's why we say purpose, date, miles, purpose, Walmart, boxes, Walmart, shipping supplies, right? You want to make sure you're putting that business purpose. Do you need to turn this into the IRS? No, you never need to turn this into the IRS unless you get audited. But if you get audited, they're going to ask those questions and they're going to want to see that. So this is why we record our business purpose, okay? On the spreadsheet, if you want the spreadsheet, if you didn't hear it and you're new, you just came in, we do have an Excel mileage tracker spreadsheet. DM me your email address, and we'll send it to you for free. It captures all this information for you. You can take it, use it as is. You can copy it, put it into a different format, whatever, but it's there for you if you want it. I heard a seller say you didn't make at least 600, you don't have to file. That seller is incorrect. You must file for any income level. 600 is a dollar amount associated to a 1099 NEC, which is non-employee compensation. We don't get 1099 NECs. That's not what we get. $600 does not apply to what you do on Whatnot. Technically, if you make $400, that's the limit for self-employment tax. That's when you have to claim that money. Just go with the assumption that any money you make on Whatnot, you need to put it on your tax return, and you will always be on the safe side of the IRS. Be careful of your mixed mileage trips. So what do I mean by mixed mileage trips? I'm going to go to the post office and I'm going to take my kid to cheerleading. If I go to cheerleading and then to the post office, my mileage from home to cheerleading is not deductible. My mileage from cheerleading to the post office is deductible. Okay. If I go from my house to the post office and then to cheerleading, my mileage from my house to the post office is deductible. Right? So I hope that makes sense. When it's the business purpose. So think about this. How do you make this the best that you can? I'm not talking about be illegal, massage the rules, using the rules to your advantage. Think about the path that you are driving. If you need to go to the grocery store and the post office is up here, a quick stop at the grocery store on your way to the post office, if it's just on the same road, maybe a block over, you can stop and get it. It's still, that whole trip becomes deductible. So using it in a way that's smart, planning out your trips. Yes, round trip. Yes, and back. It's round trip. Sorry, I didn't make that clear. It's not just there, but it's there and back. But now let's take this for example. If I'm at home, I go to cheerleading, not deductible. Then I go to the post office, deductible. I go back home, deductible. I go back to cheerleading, not deductible. Okay? So start planning out your trips in a logical way. You don't need to spend a million hours on doing this. 2 seconds to think, what's the best way? What errands do I need to run? You do this anyways. I can almost guarantee every single one of you will, before you go to run errands, you think, oh, I got to go here, 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 and here. I'm going to do it in this order because that's the order that makes sense. That's all you got to do. Think it through. Maximize it in the best legal way possible. So that's about mixed purpose. Small trips add up over time. Every business trip matters. We just talked about putting a little bit into a bank account over and over and over, and it grows and grows and grows. I have a cabin and source on the way home. Would any of that be deductible? It would be for the part that would be sourcing. So I would need to know a little bit more, but any part that would be considered the business part. So if you're going on the expressway and you're coming home, but you need to take an exit and go 5 miles down this exit to get to the antique store you like to source at, that 5 miles out of your way and back would absolutely be the business purpose. So without knowing all the details and kind of coming up with a plausible scenario on my own, hopefully that kind of helps you think through that scenario. Do you think, I just want you to think, do you take standard mileage or itemized? That's a good question. So let's stop really quick and talk about what the difference is between those two things. So CNG cards brought up the two different ways on your tax return that you can claim mileage. Standard, which is that 70 cents a mile for last year, 72.5 for this year, or actual. Standard is basically all I need to know is how many miles I drove a year, how many are my business miles. The IRS is going to give me that 70 cents. That covers everything that I need. Actual is you need to keep all of your receipts. You need to know all of the repairs, all of the maintenance, all of your gas, a lot more time and record keeping. And then for the business percent that you use your vehicle, you can take that percent of all those expenses. There's a little more rules around that. So it really kind of depends on what's going to be the best for you and looking at it as a time overall. I choose to take standard. The standard rate really encompasses, if you tracked both for a whole year, you're probably going to come pretty darn close. Now, there's some specific rules for vehicles. When you own 5 or more, that becomes a fleet. You can't take standard. So there's some more in-depth stuff that usually doesn't affect us on whatnot. If you're like, look, I really want to know. I'm curious. I want to know which way is the best for me. Track both of them for a year. And then before you do your taxes, figure out which one you want to track. Now, when you have a vehicle, here's the thing though. When you have your vehicle and you want to, I'm putting my vehicle in service, which means I'm starting business and I'm starting to use my vehicle, or I just bought a new vehicle and now I'm going to use that for my business. And you choose standard, you can't go back. You can't start switching. You've got to pick one. Okay. There are certain instances where you're allowed to switch. But again, when you first put your vehicle into service, when you first start using it for business, you really want to think about which one are you going to use. Now, you make that election the first tax return. So CNG cards, you can spend a whole year figuring it out and then say, okay, this is what I want to use going forward. You can submit mileage as well as using receipts for gas and expenses if the gas used was solely for. No, it's one or the other. It's either actual or it's standard, because that 70 cents that the IRS gives you, the IRS is saying, based on the cost going on in this world today, that 70 cents covers your gas, your repairs, your wear and tear on your vehicle. My CPA years ago told me just to use standard if I'm using a newer vehicle, a lot of maintenance used itemized. See, and again, it's a little bit, you've got to look and see which one would make the most sense for you. So, but yeah, that I can see that not, that would be a very realistic measurement or variable to take into consideration on which one you're using. Okay, I just want to run some numbers by you. Somebody earlier in the chat, and I forget who, I'm so sorry, I forget who said it, but they're like, it might have been Forgotten Memories, said they figured out it's $900 just their post office trips and deductible mileage. I want to throw some numbers out there for you just so you can feel the reality. Because when I say 70 cents, 70 cents is like, okay, I can't even buy a candy bar for 70 cents. So what? If you drive 50 miles a week, 50 miles, that's not a lot. That's very, very low. 50 miles, business miles a week times 52 weeks is $1,820 at the end of the year in a deduction. Yes, please. I'll take $1,800. Let's look at some averages. It's not exactly. It's not pennies. Average vehicles on average, and this may have changed, but let's just say on average, you drive your whole vehicle 12,000 miles a year. Okay. Remember, I said you got to take your odometer. You need to know your total miles you drive that vehicle. You drive 12,000 miles a year. If 30%, just 30% is what you use for business, 70% is personal, doesn't count. 30% of 12,000 miles a year, that's a very average amount of vehicle is driven. That's 3,600 miles. That's $2,520 a year. Okay. It adds up. Small trips add up over time. Can you use a mileage from your home to your office where you do your shows and back? No, that's commuting. Kat Daniels, that is commuting. And that's a really good point to bring up because a lot of people may have a warehouse or maybe they have a booth and they do their shows there. Home to a place of business is commuting miles. That's no different than if me driving to my office for my 9-to-5 job. Okay, not deductible. Now, from that place of business to the post office to sourcing, that's deductible. And so anything, if it's to a normal workplace, it cannot, that's just a commuting thing. So if you do your booth, say if you have a booth and you do a lot of your administration there, you're going and restocking your booth, you're doing record keeping there, your home to your booth is not deductible. All right. So you really go look at that. What did I say? Publication 463. Publication 463 breaks it down even more, but they'll give you actual examples. But I mean, I'm, just telling you the answer straight up, but you can always go and verify and look at actual examples. Anytime I talk tax, I do try to give you where you can always go to get the source information yourself. So final point, tracking as you go beats guessing later. I think we talked about this. I don't know. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Let's see if any of you know the answer to this. What did you eat for lunch on June 2nd last year? Thank you. Pub 463. Thank you. So what did all of you have for lunch on June 2nd last year? Probably salmon. All right. The point is, we do not remember all of our miles that we drove. Who the heck knows? Exactly. I don't know what I ate for lunch yesterday. If you were not tracking it, you're leaving money on the table. Bottom line, write down what you're doing. Trying to remember now, I just said if you drive an average of 12,000 miles a year and 30%, just a small fraction of that is business, that's $2,500. That's 3,600 miles if you drive just 30% of 12,000 miles. Of those 3,600 miles, are you really going to remember every single one of those miles? You won't if you don't write it down. You're leaving money on the table. What happens when you leave money on the table? It's not just leaving money on the table. That means you have a higher taxable income. You're paying more federal withholding. You're paying more self-employment tax. It's costing you money not to track your mileage. It's costing you money. Instead of you getting a deduction, you are now just saying, here, IRS, take some more of my money. I love you so much. That's what you're saying by not tracking your mileage. So it's up to you. If you love the IRS that much, look, for me, the IRS is kind of some job security, but I don't love them that much. I still want all my money. That is, what are the three things you need? Date, purpose, and miles. The date you drove, the purpose, what was your business purpose? Business could be post office. Post office alone speaks what you need. Walmart alone doesn't speak what you need. Make sure the business purpose is clear. It doesn't need to be a book. It could be 2 or 3 words as long as the business purpose of that trip is clear. How about warehouse to booth or estate sale to warehouse or drop-off sourcing purchases? Warehouse to booth, I would assume if you own a warehouse, that's where you're doing most of your administrative, excuse me, and the booth is secondary. Warehouse to booth, if I'm correct in that assumption, warehouse to booth would be deductible. Estate sales, absolutely. And yeah, any estate to and from, because you're buying stuff or any Facebook Marketplace drop-offs. If you're going down the street to meet somebody at the fire station, that's deductible. You're delivering a product. So think about that, the business purpose of it. The warehouse, when you have a warehouse or a booth, what you really need to look at is which part of that is commuting. And part of that comes down to the IRS says is where are you doing the bulk of your business work for that? If you own a booth, I'm not saying it's never deductible, but you need to look at where are you doing the bulk of your administrative work. If I track all of my booth income, I do all of my record keeping, I do everything at home, and all I do is once a week go and refresh my booth and come back. Your main business is at your home. That is deductible in that instance. The alternate to that would be, I have a booth somewhere. I'm really good friends with the owner. I sit there and talk and gossip, and I do all my administrative work throughout the days. And then I also go and refresh my booth. You're going to work at a location. That's commuting. So you see the difference in there? And that's how the IRS looks at it. It's where are you doing the bulk of that work? It's just like me on my 9 to 5. I could do some work from home remotely, but I have an office space that available to me to do the bulk of my work. It's not deductible for me to go into my office for my 9 to 5 job. The same thing applies to self-employment. Thank you so much, Georgia Beach. I'm a little geeky and I get very excited over accounting and tax, but you know what? That's my thing. That's what I bring to Whatnot. My accountant tells me my miles are way low and I'm afraid to deduct. Yeah, don't be afraid. If it's legitimate, if you are properly tracking and you can support your deductions, go for it. Go for it. You are very welcome. With that, I think we're going to close. We're a little bit early. I usually go to 9, but the tax topic was somewhat light today. So we are going to, okay, I'm just making sure there's no giveaways running. We're good. We are going to close. Thank you so much, Ranchan Fines. Remember, if you want the Excel sheet, it's the Excel mileage tracker, DM me your email address. I think my husband has it in Dropbox. We'll probably just send you a link so you can download it. Or he'll send it to you. I don't know. He handles it. He does most of the mailing out of stuff for the electronic things. We'll get it to you right away. Again, feel free to modify it, copy it, use it for whatever purpose you want. It is free. Free for today only. After this, it's going into my paid PDF stuff. And with that, let's do our CEO affirmation for week 14. I always like to close with our affirmation. So today's is, I build momentum through consistent shows and track my sourcing travel because disciplined systems outperforms hustle. The key there, discipline outperforms hustle any day of the week. With that, y'all, have a good weekend. I will be back on at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. That show is preloaded if you are interested in like wood kind of warm embrace type items. So we'll see you then. Have a great weekend. Let's go see who's on to raid. Zodi might be on. Is Zodi on already? Oh, I don't see her. Maybe she's on a little bit later. Let's go. We did TBC last time. Let's do Whimsy and Bing. I'm not too sure who Whimsy and Bing are, but it's vintage and antique jewelry. Let's go make a new friend. Bye, everybody. We don't have a closing because my husband's off doing something. I don't know.